Net force simply refers to the sum of all the forces, right? And we did a little bit yesterday. I talked about adding up forces. We talked about friction. We talked about things moving. I basically reviewed everything you learned in grade 11 in about 20 minutes. Right? We talked about friction being opposite, being negative, adding the negative, all that kind of stuff that you might remember from before. I reminded you of this formula, F net equals Fa plus Ff, applied force plus friction force, but really that's just a rewriting of the net force is the sum of all forces. This is just all the forces that are present, right? And we did a couple of questions here that were relatively easy, but we didn't do this one, did we? Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple minutes to jot this down, because it's kind of important to have it. I apologize for not having it to you on paper, but sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. I'm going to go do attendance, and then I'm going to do this one. So if you're not writing this down, you should be. I say if you're not writing this down, you should be.
Sorry.
So that you know what the question is when I'm doing it. Is this question substantially harder than the previous one? No? Is it a little bit harder? Okay. I want you to recognize that it's at least hard. A force of 50 newtons is applied, keyword, to a 10 kilogram snow sled at 30 degrees above the horizontal. The force of friction present is 18 newtons. Find the horizontal component, the net force, and the acceleration. And you'll also remember, let's just make this small little change here. I've stopped using this, and I'm going to call this FAX. X component of the applied force. Okay, so let's see here. What do we got? We got 50 newtons applied to a 10 kilogram sled. This is 10 kilos. Here's the free body diagram. Right, it's at a 30 degree above the horizontal. The force of friction present is 18 newtons. Some people might be saying, hey, there should be a weight force. There should be. There should also be a normal force. Do either one of these come into play? Well, in this case, they do. Okay? Because not only is there an FAX, but there's also an FAY. Okay, so as I was saying, you should probably have those on there. I know in the back of my head already they're not going to come into play, but they might, right? And that's because part of this applied force is going to be vertical, right? So let's maybe draw them in there. Okay, we need to find the FAX. So in other words, this value right there. How do I find it? It's a right triangle, right? Is it opposite or is it adjacent? Adjacent, so we're going to use cosine. So FAX is equal to FA cos theta. That's a formula. Applied force is 50 newtons, is applied. Cosine, 30 degrees. I didn't bring a calculator with me. That's all? 7.7? Maybe you're in radians. 43.3, is that what you got? Okay. Does that seem more reasonable? Yeah, okay. So 43.3 newtons of force is doing what? Pulling it sideways. What happened to the other, like, 7 newtons? Some of it's going up. Is it exactly 7 newtons or 6.7 that's going up? No, it's whatever this vertical component here, right? So 43.3 newtons is pulling sideways. But there's also, there's also what? 18 newtons of friction, right? Find F net. Let's do that now. F net is equal to, in this case, not always, in this case, F net is equal to the x component of the applied force, FAX, plus the friction force, 43.3 plus minus 18, and I'm going to try and start writing it that way because we're adding that vector. $25.3. So the net force horizontally, left to right, is 25.3. Which direction? Right or left? Right. How do I know? Well, this one's greater than the friction force, right? And the value, the sign here is positive. Now, how do I find acceleration? Yeah, F net equals ma. Maybe I lied. Maybe this one isn't as hard as it appeared. 25.3 is equal to the mass, which is 10, and the acceleration is what we're trying to find. Right? How do I solve that? Divide both sides by 10. Shouldn't even need a calculator. 2.53 meters per second squared. With that, I can go into all of those. VF equals VI plus AT, or D equals VIT plus a half AT squared, or VF squared equals VI squared plus 280. Any problems that you would use to solve those, the only thing you would need is a time, right? But remember, this is that, I called it the bridging formula. It's what gets you from the forces to the kinematic stuff. How was that question? Okay? Shelby, did I make some sense? I know it wasn't exciting. No explosions or special effects, but I think that's all I have. Oh, no, that's not true. I'll wait for a second. Okay, so what if I asked you this? If it started from rest, find its displacement after 4 seconds. Here's a good review of the stuff we've already done. If it started from rest, find its displacement after 4 seconds. I'll pause for a second. How am I going to find the displacement after 4 seconds? I need to find the value for D. My time is 4 seconds. What's my acceleration? This number here, 2.53. What formula do you know that starts with, or has a D and a T and an A in it? Do I have there's code there, isn't there? VI is 0. Correct. Yep. D equals VIT plus a half AT squared. Initial velocity is 0. Do I need to write 0 times 4? Shouldn't. Everybody knows 0 times 4 is 0. You need to know that. Okay, I've had some people ask about this too. It's 4 squared, 16 times 2.53 times a half. You need to know your order of operations too. Your calculator will do it all for you if you type it in all at once too, by the way. So you go 1/2 times 2.53 times 4 squared equals 20.24 meters, I think is what you should get. 20.24. Right? All good? Yeah? Give me the nod of agreement. Waiting for some nods of agreement from the right-hand side of the room. Yes, thank you. Don't give me the nod if you don't mean it, though. Don't give me an insincere nod. Okay. You have a sheet from yesterday with Darth Vader on it, I believe. Remember from yesterday I said there were 3 questions that you must do. I suggest you do more than those 3, but you must do those 3 to be eligible for the pre-test. You got to do some practice. I will gladly help. I will gladly help with any of these. This is where you ask for help. Don't ask for help when I'm trying to get you to park the car in parallel parking. Ask for help when you're learning how to parallel park. This is the practice. Ask for help. The ones that are starting out. At a minimum. I suggest do more. Do you want some more?
I want to go back to this one.
I already had it in your boy.
FF's the other way. Yeah, FF's pointed right. So do you know that? Because it's north, 30 west. Of course, there's an FM directed 30 degrees west. West of north, so north of west. So like this way. So the XA is north, so it's this way. West. So then does that mean that the FA is 5? Yeah. But then there's another FA of
That was the biggest one.
I don't like Portland, but like
Most of the time.
I don't get what they use. What does that mean? That's all from here. So what's your favorite? Is that 5? Where's the 4 though? The 4 is going straight. Oh, so the whole base is square. Yeah. Oh. And this one is not. This one. Yeah.
Your taller one's taller.
And then your friction is 3. That is 1 out. So FA is 1 and FA 2. Yeah. So wait, does that mean that it's negative? Because it's west? I'm just gonna put the opposite direction. I know, but what if the other one is because they're going west? You have to do that plan. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
You want to do number 1? Yes.
So then you use your FA as 5.
Yes, well. Oh, I messed it up.
Yeah, 5. But then if you don't when you do it again, because that's where the Like, what did you get? What's your A? 5.85? So what did you get?
I'll be right there. Let me finish this small little task. Who else is away tomorrow?
Got 1.3, yeah. And then I added all them together, so it's like FA of X plus FA. Oh, right, yeah. FA plus FA2.
Okay, tomorrow I'm gonna do
Add all
last
them
one.
together. And then I got 2.
Tomorrow I'm doing. Okay. Here's tomorrow. Okay. Will.
Then, oh wait, that's it. I got 2.3. Wait, no, that's not. I got 2.3 and for my F then I got 2.4. I don't think they're good.
Okay. This one. Okay. Anytime there's directions like west and north and stuff like that, it's referring to like an overhead view. So you've got 30 degrees west of north, so you've got a force like this, and you've got 4 newtons left, right? So it's not, like, the one I did there is sideways looking at something sliding across the table, potentially, right? This is a bird's eye view looking down on something. So I think that this looks to me like you're trying to think of it as that, but it's not. It's a top down, right? The force to overcome friction is 3 newtons. So if there was no friction, which way would this thing go? Kind of like this, right? Okay, so that means the friction is exactly opposite. Okay, so whatever direction this is, you will call positive, and then the opposite is. You gotta take those two forces and add them by vector components, like you did last week. That's what they're asking. Yep. Did you do 1 and 2, or did you skip right to 3?
I did 1.
No? But that's what that was for. Yeah. Vector component. Yeah. You 1 and 2? Okay. Can't figure it out yet. What? I don't have an A yet. 1, 2, 3. Well, I know. You did 1? Did you get it right? Well, did you look? Why not? Have I ever given you a sheet where the answers are on the back? No, I don't slide. Never.
Get the.
Yeah, I got it right. No? Okay, so this one is a wagon. Over the contour. So this is one of those sort of looking at it sideways thing. Okay? Number 2, as I was saying, well, when you have words like north and east, then it's a top-down catching. So you got north, you got east, so you're like a drone looking down. Okay? This one also has west and north and west, right? So this is another top-down. Okay? So like number 2 will help with number 3, that's for sure. Well, I will say this one's easier than this one. Which is why I think number 3 You guys are trying to take a shortcut. No shortcut, man. It's called hard work. Try to do it.
What formula do they use?
Nick, you know I've supplied you with tape, right? Oh, make sure you realize that. How's it going? $0.
You're right.
Yeah, number 3, like I was saying, you will. Anytime there's north or west, any of those directions, it's referring to like, it's like a top-down drone kind of look. You're like looking down on them. These are like sideways. Yeah, yeah. So it's like a drone like from the sky. Looking down. Okay? Yeah. You gotta add the old Remember the answers are there under the QR code, right? And there's the white binder as well, it's pulled out. Where's it red? No? You just scan it. Well, why not? It's gonna help you. You asked me for it. You asked me for help. Why is that either than asking QR scanner? No, west out of north. North and then go west. Well, yep. Yep. You get a scanner around here yet? No?
Oh, yeah,
See, does that help, Renee? No?
Oh,
Give it out. They're also, when you're in school, and you don't have access to Wi-Fi,
didn't know that you were doing vector addition and subtraction in this.
okay. So let's talk about number 3, you guys, because I see many people have sort of, some people did number 1. Number 1 is one of those sideways ones. Number 2 and 3 are top-down drone kind of, like you're like eye in the sky kind of thing. How do you recognize those times? When they give you like west and north and south, right? That's that looking down at a map kind of idea. Okay. I will leave this white binder of solutions open to the right page, and I'm going to leave it on the back shelf there. So you're more, if you don't want to use your data plan, you don't want to scan, the solutions are here. Okay. You're doing diagrams there. 8 squared plus 6 squared. So FA squared is just like the value of that applied to this. You're adding those two together. That's
Wait,
it.
literally doing just vector addition.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we didn't know that.
Now you do.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, right here, you're putting F1x and F1y. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, F1x is -4. So I've broken that into components because I'm guessing 1 is down. Yeah, minus, right, it's 4 newtons west, right? So the x component is -4, and there is no y because it's straight west.
Okay,
And opposite coast.
this is F
So what? Oh,
one X
here.
is -4.
Okay.
Opposite sign.
And then Y is F one Y is 0. So then you get no Y.
You never get shown this, right? Talk about it. sine opposite hypotenuse, cosine adjacent hypotenuse, tangent opposite adjacent. Parabola.
This here,
I
that.
don't see why F three, Y is zero, S two, Y is dash. Oh, you know what?
Does that mean north west?
No.
What does that mean?
West of north means west of north. No, west of north.
So northwest.
North, and then to the west.
I mean, F1, Y, and F1. So that, there's a mistake on the, solution here.
Is there?
Yeah, you mixed up F1 X and F1 Y. You said F1 X is 4 and F1 Y is 0, and it's the other way around. So you fix it later on, you still look right.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so all you need here is just, so you mean that, you know, that north.
Oh, I see, I'm mixing here too.
So it's supposed to be, this is supposed to be 4. So when you get down here, so for number 2, the other you get I mean,
Let's look it up, okay, count.
Or number two.
so
Oh,
this
okay.
should be,
Well, yeah.
this should be 0.
Carter, your mom can deal with you later. Leave her alone, she's gotta work. Okay, show me here.
He says, having here to go to the
One of those top down. Like I was just saying, anytime there's like north and south and east and west, you're looking at the back, the opposite. This right here. So this is 4 this way. Now what's the other one? 5? Good. 5. Right. So if you're not looking at it sideways on a tabletop, you're looking down. Does that help? No. Okay, so I have to add those two vectors together by one. So I'm calling F1 4 newton west. The x component minus the y. Here the F2x is opposite. So it's Dad, can you show me here where am I? Or did I fix it? Looks okay to me.
Was 5 newtons direct 30 west of north, right?
So this one.
How's a higher sine? That doesn't make sense.
Yes, because x is opposite. This is west of north, looking north, going 30 degrees west. So that's the x is opposite.
West of north, so
West of north.
I guess north. So then x, y,
Okay,
right?
but then if you do that, where else? If you do, right, then it's not 30, it's 60.
Oh. Wait, hold on. And also, I use that space.
What? No.
Dad, you put this in order.
4 newtons west.
Oh my God, Dad. I don't think the right answer, so I got one on there. Oh, right answer. You want to know about it?
For what?
I don't know. I got the directions wrong, but I got the right answer, so I'm kind of off well.
What about number 1? Once again, you're doing the shrink factor. You're going straight to the one. Okay, but you can't.
Why is it mine?
So you just told me you need help, so in other words, you can't do it.
What the big difference is we have -4 and
How does the A give us an asking somehow? All it is virtual me instead of real me. Yeah. If I had a ton of time, I would have like little videos for every question where I work it out. Wouldn't that be awesome?
I have some project.
Hey? Oh yeah.
It's zero because it just gives you direction west.
Yeah, and there's no Y component.
So then it should be
Yeah.
zero. And I got the
You're done with that, yeah.
So I have two and 5 and
Someone had a question over here? Yeah. Oh, no. Did you say that? No.
the volume.
It's so awesome. Nick, the scanner does? No?
So 6.5 million.
Let's give you a QR code reader. Oh, is that? Yeah. You should. I don't know how many times I have to tell you. Apparently won't do it all. Eh? Well, I understand that. I'm trying to make you react. Yes, yes. But that's the next best time. Did you do it? What did you get? Oh. You should get it out of
Saw a video of these 3 clowns out of this gas can
Okay, so what's the question?
and they're walking up to them with like weapons sweaters and just charging them like through their weapons and they start running away and they're like knock them down on the ground like, it's like lowering my keep like little kids into
This is, okay. Did you know that those little girls are level right here? Yeah, they're available in multiple formats.
So they're like the most like people are rewarding her more. So I feel like you guys can get a code.
You look at that number.
Okay, this one I'm gonna try and get it right.
Do I do?
Like this one here, they're not, right?
I can't really drop this, but I couldn't, yeah, I tried to repeat. I got close to similar answers, but I didn't go like that one time I mentioned. This is what I am playing, gave up, I started to age, or it was easier. This is yeah, I think it's that right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, here you've got northeast, right? So the values. Yes. We add the back values. Yes. No, it doesn't help.
Makes sense, but like, but it just like takes up way too much time.
There is no shortcut to excellence, bro. Well, you're looking for the shortcut. It doesn't exist. It's not there. It's hard work. You're looking to run a marathon without running the miles ahead of time.
Okay. I don't understand why this is comes like
Well, when you draw a triangle like that, you're really just, because the negative is the direction, right? Because I got the arrowhead there, all I'm saying is that side of the triangle is, like when I throw it into here, and it's negative, it's like, it's, right? There's no need for it to be negative.
And then another question, this FS, what are you trying to, what is, like, what is this? I don't think what's the big deal, but then, like, she's trying to.
Okay, so it looks like here, the sum of sum of those two forces, the net applied force. I'm sure what that means. The result force, probably result. So the result force is 7.81, but it looks to me like there's a friction force of -3. So I take the sum of the two, which is at 7.81, and I subtract 3 from that. Because 3 is you have friction of really. Don't you have like 4 newtons left, right? Okay, so 4 newtons, and you got like 5 newtons there, right? So if there was no friction, it would go like somewhere like that, right? So that means that friction is off. Right? So you add those two together, and this direction here is defined as positive, and then this is negative, and then so your overall net force. Yeah?
So you're saying you're
No, that's not that yet. This 7.81 is the sum of the two forces, right? So like we're doing the picture right here, right? This is 4 and that's 5. So this force here, I think I called it FR, is that 7.81, right? Positive. So this -3 is the opposite direction. So after you add 4 and 5 together to get 7.81, you subtract 3 for friction. So your overall net force is the 4.81. Then you can go to Fn equals. That is one limitation to the bonus. You got to don't sort of see where the next step is, right? So, that would be north 36.9 east. East, right? So what's up? Want to listen in? Okay. Do you want to listen in on 3? If I can go right here now, see? Okay, so we got 4 newtons this way, and we got 5 newtons that way, right? Okay, so we'll call this, I think this is F1 and this is F2, and the solution is I don't remember which way. Okay, so my overall resultant of those two, I'm going to call that F1, resultant. Okay? 4 and 5 gives you some magic number this way. Right? How do you find that magic number? You just add those 5 back to the ball. Oh, actually, that 5 is not right. That 5 is not that right. Yes, you guys can tell. This is 5 here. This one is 5. So that means the FR, like, something like that, right? Okay. So you got to take those. You got to add those 5 back to the components. Find the X and the Y. 2x and y. Well, now you can, opposite, which is sine, adjacent, which is cosine. Right? So you can find f2x and f2y. The 4 is straight left, so it is only an x. There is no y. Right? So you have to add those together. Alright, so I found there's f1x and f1y, that's minus 4 and 0. f2x and f2y. That's these guys here. Right? Add the x's together, just like we did last week. Right? Add the x's together, add the y's together. Find your resultant force, which is 7.81. And then what's this minus 3 business with? That's the friction. Because which way is friction? We don't know which way is friction. It's the opposite of the. There's no friction there. Which way would it go? Friction is opposite of the world. 7.81 minus 3. Now your net force is 4.81. Does that help? This one? Question, which one? Well, you're gonna know what your overall applied force is. And you should be able to figure out what your overall net force is. From the other side. And then do F net equals FA plus FF.
Usually, how do you have to say it? Yeah, but, and then,
No, because there is friction. You need to find your F net from that 10 meters in 2 seconds. The 10 meters in 2 seconds is going to give you the acceleration. And then you throw that into F net equals MA, and then you just kind of put them together. Kind of meet in the middle. Yeah. Did you say V over T? Not A equals delta V. Change in velocity. You know that it goes a distance of 10. Probably from rest, so your VI is 0. Your distance is 10. And your time is, formula with D and VI and A and T in it? Yes, you do.
Yeah, I finished the first question.
okay.
Close. Did you look at the solution here? I have the first one back. Have you followed the plane or the wind or the boat or the current?
Yeah, no, what did I do? Minneapolis, they have like St. Paul, St. Paul, Missouri.
I used to have my hurricane, but I don't know. I used to have that, what is it called? Is it like Garnier?
That's how you go to school.
I just remember, like, I used to be
You're not only trying to do a thing, but you're trying to save a little space. Shelby, I didn't get to you today. Can you?
I didn't understand number 3.
No?
I'm fine.
You should have turned around and listened when I was talking to you and
I was
challenged.
doing number 4.
Oh.
I gave up.
We got have time still. It's okay. It's not okay. Why? Why tomorrow? What's wrong with the next 8 minutes? Do the part-time Rangers quit when there's 8 minutes left in the third period?
Yeah. Yeah.
And how's that worked out for them?
Not very well.
Well, there you go. I don't know how many years I've used that joke.
Wait, what joke?
Do the part-time Rangers quit when there's 8 minutes left in class joke?
I think it was
No offense to the part-time. Actually, the last 2 years it hasn't gone over so well because the Rangers have done pretty good the last 2 years.
Yeah, we did.
No. Renee, there was years there where they had like 2 wins. I don't know, 60 games. There was 1 year where it didn't even look like they were going to win 1 game. So. So we talk about it? Yeah. And what else you get so when you see that, you know, you are literally
He scored a couple, he scored the next 3 chances. He's 8 years old. How does that make you feel?
well, yes and no.
You got traded.
So overall.
Why is he California?
It's like literally, it's like
I threw my back over.
Yeah, he held that one in.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know.
Very much. On yourself. Okay, so you got very much yourself. There's only an extra. You know why? Where you gotta be this thing? Yeah, you did. Then you add the so minus 4 is just, yes. It's weird how the shortcut often leads you to
I was looking at all there. We're like, I probably don't remember, but like, actually, probably, I don't hear about it that. Like, baseball comes and takes the set to like, revolution. Yeah, like that. They wanted, they just went over there like, it's not. Yeah.
There was someone that told me I was still recording 20 minutes ago.